Happy Valentine's Week, everyone. Ready for a deep dive into something, well, maybe a little bit different this time.
Oh, intrigue. I like different. Lay it on us.
We're going to be tackling India's proposed new income tax bill for 2025.
All right.
I know taxes might not exactly scream, romance and all that.
Right.
But trust me, this one could really impact your wallet,
Yeah.
especially if you're part of the middle class, like us.
Absolutely. There's been quite a buzz around this bill, and,
Yeah.
it's even sparked a fascinating editorial from Deus World.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which we highly recommend you check out.
Okay.
The link is in the description.
Perfect.
But for now, let's unpack why the government is so keen on shaking things up.
Okay, yeah. So imagine trying to follow a Bollywood plot from the 60s.
Okay.
Twists and turns, and maybe a few flying cars for good measure.
Right.
That's what the current Income Tax Act of 1961 feels like.
Yeah.
To many people, so outdated and complex.
Exactly. The world has changed drastically since 1961. And the government argues that the tax system needs to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
They're aiming for a system that's simpler, more transparent, easier to navigate for everyone, especially us regular folks who aren't, tax experts.
Right, yeah. So it's like swapping that old clunky landline for a sleek new smartphone.
Yes.
Right. More user-friendly, more efficient.
Hopefully.
But not everyone is convinced this upgrade is all sunshine and rainbows.
No.
The opposition has raised some serious concerns,
Oh.
particularly around privacy.
Yes. They're worried about the bill's proposal to give tax authorities greater access to our digital footprint.
Like what? What do you mean?
Emails, social media, online transactions.
Wow.
The whole shebang.
The whole thing.
Yeah, they argue this could be a slippery slope.
Right.
Potentially infringing on our privacy and giving the government too much power.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is.
Because I appreciate the idea of cracking down on tax evaders, but I also value my privacy. So where do you draw the line?
That's the debate.
Yeah. And it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
How do you ensure transparency and efficiency without compromising individual rights?
Yeah.
It's the balancing act.
Yeah.
And the opposition feels that this bill hasn't struck the right balance.
They're also saying that while the bill makes a big deal about simplification, it doesn't actually offer any new incentives or tax relief measures.
That's right.
Like, wouldn't it be nice to, see some tangible benefits for the middle class who are already feeling the pinch?
Absolutely. The opposition argues it's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
They feel the focus is more on making the system look modern and efficient rather than addressing the real concerns of taxpayers.
Right.
Especially those of us who are diligently paying our taxes and could use a little break.
So we've got this clash of perspectives.
Yeah.
The government pushing for modernization, the opposition hitting the brakes, concerned about privacy and the lack of substantial relief for taxpayers.
Right.
It's like a Bollywood dance-off, but with serious consequences.
Where do you think this leaves the average middle-class person trying to navigate this whole tax maze?
Well, I think the key takeaway for now is to stay informed and engaged.
Okay.
This bill is still in its early stages, and a lot can change as it goes through Parliament. But let's delve into some of the specifics.
Okay.
One of the big changes the bill proposes is a unified tax year to replace the current system with the financial year and the assessment year.
Yes, the dreaded assessment year. I always get those mixed up.
Right.
Can you break that down for our listeners who might be in the same boat?
Absolutely. Right now you have the financial year, which runs from April 1st to March 31st.
Right.
Then you have the assessment year, which is the year after when you actually file your returns.
Right.
This new bill aims to simplify that by having just one tax year encompassing everything.
So no more double dating the tax man with 2 different years.
Exactly. Got it.
But doesn't this bill still end up being pretty long and complicated?
Yeah, it's longer than they initially planned.
Okay.
It now has 23 chapters, 536 sections, and 16 schedules.
Whoa.
However, compared to the 298 sections and 23 chapters of the existing Income Tax Act, this is still an improvement in terms of organization.
Okay, so it's like decluttering your wardrobe, right? You might still have a lot of clothes, but at least they're organized, and you can actually find what you need.
Exactly.
But I'm still curious about those privacy concerns.
Okay.
The opposition seems really worried about them.
They are, and for good reason.
Yeah.
The bill proposes giving tax authorities greater access to digital footprints,
Right.
including emails and social media activity.
Right.
The opposition argues that this could potentially be misused
Okay.
and that the safeguards in place might not be enough to protect individual privacy.
I can see why they're concerned.
Yeah.
It's like giving someone the keys to your house just because they need to borrow a cup of sugar. Do you really want them snooping around in your personal stuff?
And it's not just about snooping.
Right.
There's a genuine concern about the scope of this access and how it will be regulated.
Yeah.
The opposition is pushing for more clarity and stricter controls to prevent any potential misuse of this data.
So what about the middle class?
Okay.
Does this bill offer any actual benefits for us?
Well, there's good news and bad news.
Hit me.
The good news is that the bill doesn't introduce any new taxes,
Okay.
and the existing tax slabs and deadlines remain unchanged.
Okay, phew.
So no nasty surprises there.
That's a relief.
However,
So no.
the bad news is that the bill doesn't offer any significant new incentives or tax relief measures,
Oh, okay.
which is what many people were hoping for.
Right.
The opposition argues that this is a missed opportunity to provide some much-needed relief for the middle class.
It's a bit like getting a beautifully wrapped gift box,
Yes.
only to find out it's empty inside.
Right.
The presentation is nice, but where's the substance?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
The opposition feels that while simplification is good,
Yeah.
it should be coupled with measures that genuinely benefit taxpayers.
Right.
They argue that the government could have done more to address specific concerns of the middle class,
Such as?
like the rising cost of living or the lack of affordable housing.
So we've got this tug-of-war going on.
Yeah.
The government pushing for modernization and efficiency, while the opposition raises concerns about privacy and the lack of concrete benefits for taxpayers.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
Right.
What should we, the listeners, be paying attention to as this bill makes its way through Parliament?
I think there are a few key areas to watch.
Okay.
Firstly, how the government addresses those privacy concerns.
Right.
Will they put in place stronger safeguards to protect our data?
Yeah.
Will they be transparent about how this data will be used and accessed?
Yes. Transparency is crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We need to know exactly what's happening with our information and how it's being protected. Another thing to watch is how the government clarifies certain provisions of the bill that might be open to misinterpretation,
Okay.
even with simplified language.
Right.
Tax laws can be complex,
For sure.
and we need to ensure that everyone understands their obligations clearly.
That makes sense. We don't want people ending up in trouble with the tax man because they misunderstood something in the new bill.
And finally, we need to pay attention to how the government plans to implement these changes.
Okay.
Updating tax software, financial reporting systems, and compliance mechanisms.
Right.
It's a massive undertaking.
What is?
A smooth transition is crucial.
Yeah.
And we need to see how the government plans to achieve that without creating unnecessary burdens for taxpayers.
So it's not just about the bill itself.
Well,
It's also about how it's rolled out and explained to the public.
yes.
Clear communication and support will be essential.
It's like launching a new app.
Yeah.
You need to make sure it's user-friendly with clear instructions, tutorials, and a robust support system to handle any glitches or queries.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will get frustrated and stick with the old system, even if it's clunky and outdated.
Okay, so we need to keep an eye on how the government handles those privacy concerns,
Yes.
clarifies any confusing bits, and ensures a smooth transition to the new system.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up, I want to bring in some expert opinions on this bill.
Great idea. It's always helpful to get insights from those who are deeply involved in these matters.
Exactly. I came across an interesting quote from Himanshu Parekh, a partner at KPMG.
Okay.
He seems quite optimistic about the bill.
KPMG is a well-respected firm,
Yeah.
so their perspective carries weight.
Yeah.
What did Mr. Parekh have to say?
He described the new income tax bill as a pivotal shift toward a more transparent and user-friendly taxation system.
Okay.
He believes the bill will improve tax compliance because it's simply easier for individuals and businesses to understand their obligations.
That's encouraging. It seems like the simplification aspect is being well received by those who deal with these laws on a daily basis.
Yes, and he also pointed out that the proposed legislation, while still lengthy, is significantly shorter than the existing law.
Okay.
That's definitely a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. But it's important to consider a range of viewpoints.
True.
Not everyone is as enthusiastic about the bill as Mr. Parekh.
True, there are concerns, even amongst the experts.
Yeah.
One thing that's been highlighted is that the bill retains the existing residency laws,
Okay.
which some experts believe are outdated.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Why is that seen as a potential problem?
Well, with the rise of remote work and global mobility,
Right.
the current definitions of residency, which categorize individuals as ordinarily resident, non-ordinarily resident,
Right.
and non-resident,
Right.
might be a bit outdated.
Yeah.
Some experts believe these rules need to be revised to reflect the changing realities of the modern workforce.
That makes sense. The lines are becoming blurred between where we live, where we work, and where we earn our income.
Right.
The tax system needs to adapt to that.
Exactly. And it's not just about fairness for individuals.
Yeah.
It also has implications for the government's ability to collect taxes effectively in a globalized world.
So while this new bill makes strides in some areas, it seems like there's still room for improvement, especially when it comes to adapting to the changing global landscape.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that a bill, no matter how well-intentioned,
Right.
is just a piece of paper until it's actually implemented.
Yes.
The real test will be how effectively the government translates these changes into practice
Yeah.
and addresses the potential challenges that might arise.
That's the crux of it, isn't it? The devil is often in the details, and the success of this new tax regime will depend heavily on the execution.
It's like a beautifully choreographed Bollywood dance number.
Yes.
The steps might look amazing on paper,
Uh-huh.
but it takes skilled dancers and flawless executions to bring it to life on stage.
A brilliant analogy.
So as we eagerly await the next act of this tax drama,
Yes.
what key message would you like our listeners to take away from today's deep dive?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed,
Okay.
to engage with this issue, and to make your voice heard.
Right.
This bill has the potential to impact us all, so it's crucial that we understand what's at stake and actively participate in the conversation.
I couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power.
It is.
And the more we know about these complex issues, the better equipped we are to navigate them and advocate for our own interests.
Absolutely. So, dear listeners, keep your eyes peeled
Keep your ears open.
and your minds engaged.
This tax saga is far from over, and we'll be right here with you every step of the way.
Breaking it all down in a way that's easy to understand.
And who knows? Perhaps this deep dive has sparked some questions or thoughts of your own.
Maybe.
We'd love to hear your perspectives on this new bill
Yeah.
and how it might affect you.
Please do share your thoughts and concerns with us. We're all in this together, and your voice matters.
Now, before we sign off for today, I have one final thought-provoking question for our listeners to ponder.
Oh, I love it when you do this.
Could this new bill,
Okay.
despite its shortcomings, actually be a step towards a fairer and more efficient tax system that benefits everyone?
It's a question that requires careful consideration and a balanced perspective.
For sure.
There are definitely positives in the bill's attempt to modernize and simplify a system that desperately needed an overhaul.
It's like finally trading in that old sputtering scooter for a shiny new electric one.
I like that analogy.
It might take some getting used to, but ultimately it's a smoother and more efficient ride.
And just like with any new vehicle,
Yeah.
there might be bumps in the road, adjustments to be made, and maybe even a few unexpected breakdowns.
Yeah.
But the overall direction seems to be towards a more sustainable and user-friendly experience.
Exactly. So while we acknowledge the valid concerns raised by the opposition
Yeah.
and stay aware of potential challenges, we shouldn't lose sight of the potential benefits this bill could bring.
Right.
After all, a simpler, clearer tax system is something we all want, isn't it?
Absolutely.
As this bill moves through Parliament,
Yeah.
it's crucial that we, as engaged citizens, stay informed and participate in the process.
Yes.
Let your voices be heard, share your insights, and help shape a tax system that works for everyone.
I couldn't agree more.
There's that saying.
Oh, is there a saying coming?
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing.
Oh, I like that one.
We need to be active participants in this process, not passive observers.
Well said.
Engage in discussions online and offline, and let's work together towards a tax system that is fair, efficient, and truly benefits the nation.
And on that note,
Yes.
we'll wrap up this deep dive into India's Income Tax Bill 2025.
We hope you found it informative, insightful, and maybe even a little bit entertaining.
A little bit. Come on, we're very entertaining.
Remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation.
Beginning.
Stay tuned for further updates as this bill progresses, and in the meantime,
Yes.
please share your thoughts
Share them.
and keep the conversation going.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged,
Yes.
and remember, knowledge is power.
And a very happy Valentine's Day to you all.